I hear you, Lee.
This is Tail, and I hear you great.
Brian, I hear you great.
Hey Mike, you're gonna take a ride on County Road 79.
Hey. Behind you, basically the tail is actually doing the leading. So make sure if you don't see anybody in your rearview mirror, slow down, so that way we get all the spacing. For this initial part of the trail, we're actually going to be running through a residential area, so just be nice, no loud noises and whatnot. Other than that, let's have some fun.
Making a ride on trail 347. Is there any mailboxes on it? Yes, a lot. For those with a clutch, I may recommend going into 4 low on this hill that you'll come up to. And then when you get to the top of the hill, you'll be making a left. And this is normally a very photogenic spot, although with the low clouds, not today. What are you talking about? I thought it was sunny and shiny and 80 degrees outside.
Hey Uni, what's your temperature thing say?
Mine says 50.
I got 46. Okay, I have 50 and Steve's like, I don't believe it.
Bingo!
57. Back out, it was sunny and 85.
Well, good news, Sarah, no one's here.
Oh, yay. All for us.
Good news is we're here. Bad news is it's going harder.
Who was that? Because you were squawking terrible.
With the winch cable, like if you're going to drive, kind of a good way to secure the line. And then I'll do is I'll pull up, I'll show you how we'll hook to the tree and then winching and that type of stuff. So a lot of us I think have the old school with the cable. So there's some trails we run where you've got to run, you kind of just leave your winch line hooked up while you're running. So a good way on a Jeep is actually to use the hood latches. Have it go into the hood latch, wrap it around the side view mirror, and just throw your winch controller up there. But when wheeling, you actually want your winch cable usually like stored behind your passenger seat, somewhere you could grab it while sitting in your seat. Because if you're off camber in a sketchy spot, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to put your Jeep in park and get out or move around to get to it. It's also good too to have at least one D-ring within that same area. I carry one in my middle glove box. That way, if you get in that sketchy spot, all you really have to do is just grab your winch controller, grab your D-ring, hand it to someone out your window. They go ahead, hook it up, and then go from there. So
but it's not always. Sometimes you're in a position where you got to recover yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, usually there's people around who are willing to help, but you have to know what you're doing so that if you can only rely on yourself ultimately, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to pull up real quick so I can get close to that tree. So if you're hooking up to a tree, you want to make sure it's alive. Check it, make sure it's not like a beetle kill or anything like that. I'm just going to go to this easy one real quick. I'm not doing a whole lot of force. Ideally I'd go to this big boy, but for instructional purposes, we're going to the little tree. Always when you do your winch line or your tree strap around it, always want to go as low as possible. So ideally you want gloves that have no straps or anything like that on them. Reason being is especially when winching in, if it gets caught on something, it's likely to bring you in, and these things don't care. So on winch, this side is actually engaged. If you turn it to this side, it's what we call free spool. So it allows me to pull the line out. And you'll see a lot of people like just grab the line and start struggling over stuff. It's actually a lot easier if you just take out the line to stand in here. Always making sure you're not actually like wrapping this around your hand, because if this thing were to go, I could just let go of it and let it go on its way.
Your line looks pretty frayed. How do you know when it's...
Line gets used a lot.
But when is the time to get a new line?
So this is normal, like little fraying. If you look in here, like it's just kind of fuzzy. You would want to check it and make sure nothing's cut. Then you got your D-ring in your pocket. So with the tree strap, we're going to do is we're going to actually kind of join them together. Screw out your bow shackle or your D-ring, however you want to call it. And then you always want to remember to screw down, not so you don't screw up. That's just in case you had an issue. There's less likely a chance of that pin falling out while you've got a load on it. And then you go tight, and then a quarter turn back. And the reason being is that when you start putting a tension on the line, it can tighten up. So if you start tight, then bring a screwdriver or something to get it undone. So now we're gonna take that thing and turn it towards this direction, which now engages the winch. And you always want to do is give actually a tug on your winch line. Swarms aren't as bad, but like a super winch, it actually gets in between on the brake, in between gears. So if you give it a little tug on it, it'll actually snap it in gear. The warns aren't as bad. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tension my line. So now I have a tension line. So we can do one little talk about, so if this Jeep was really, really stuck, the reason why we're having everyone carry snatch blocks on a recovery equipment is I can actually do, so in this instance, for ease of math, let's just say I'm doing a 5,000 pound pull. It's just 5,000 pounds. If I were to get a snatch block involved, so if I went here to a snatch block, around the snatch block, usually I always try to put my anchor off of the point of the Jeep onto something else, helps spread that load out. So that would actually, in essence, take that 5,000 pounds and now double it to 10.
So versus putting it back to one of your D-ring hooks, go to another tree or something?
I like to do that just because I'm usually doing pretty heavy pulls. And so that way, because in essence then you've got, you know, you have 5 on your winch and 10 on the
bumper
on the bumper or whatnot. So if this is now the case, if I'm going to drive with this, I'm going to take my winch controller. Why am I not using a damper? For steel line, even on steel line I wouldn't use a damper. The amount of force when that steel line breaks, basically you're just putting a sweater on a line to keep it warm. There's nothing, it's not going to dampen. And you got to think about the forces involved in this. You can put any amount of weight on it, now you're just adding, basically you're adding a projectile into the system. Synthetic lines can, usually if they break, they just lie flat, but they can break and actually come back at you. The benefit though, usually is it'll just give you like a minor burn. But usually what I'll have everyone do is, when we actually go to do the actual winching part, when I actually put a full load on the line, I have everyone get out at what I call the kill zone. We're just gonna go ahead and put tension on the winch line. And I'm basically just gonna do, in this instance, I'm just gonna put it in first gear. And just, actually in this instance, I can put it in neutral. So I can put winches in one. My battery's kind of towards the end of its life, so you'll see actually my voltage will drop. So I have to, basically I'm doing is I'm putting power into it to allow the alternator to start. If you're doing a hard pull, usually you do want to kind of kick the RPMs up, just so the alternator can start replacing.
40, 60 pounds in there.
You had a slew of kids. Mike had a slew of kids in his.
Huh? I think for Mike, me and Fat Man need to sit in it just to slow down that winch a little.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, Smitty builds come out real fast, so they don't go in real fast.
I don't know.
Oh, I see what the kid did. He took my idea. So here's one of the downsides to this. As you can see, it's already coming undone. See how the soft shackle, you don't hook it up right, it's already starting to it's almost undone right there.
So I didn't pull it tight when I...
So whenever I set up a soft shackle for a pull, I always do is I set it up
Right at the thimble.
Yep.
So the pressure right there.
So it puts the pressure right on the knot. Because if this was right here, it was already starting to come off. So if you were really putting actual tension on that line,
a lot of tension, it might have slipped.
Yep, probably would have slipped and came off. He did take my other idea though, using a longer tree strap.
Why did I have to switch my...
I think I should be able to do it.
Come on, Dad, run! Stop walking! Oh God. It's 2 minutes, so he has 1 minute. Run, Dad, run! I was stuck here. Get out of his way. Can I set the time?
34 seconds.
I'll let you touch this. You sit over here trying to bribe me with $1,000 and you don't know.
There you go. I think you have to go around like that.
You want me to just get out of the way completely?
Yeah. Half ramp. Come on, dog.
That's good.
Let's go.
Slow, slow. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
What? Driver tires about 6 inches from the edge.
Stop.
Right about there. Can you now turn and go? More that way. You kind of got to do it like Steve did, where he kind of came up at an angle.
So like that.
Yeah.
Go up and then turn.
Yep.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Your Jeep, you don't have to apologize.
You can go forward. Hammer time.
It's because Steve's with me.
Steve looks nervous now.
It's so much better when you're not.
Yeah, keep coming. Driver passenger tires finally. Driver's side, perfect. Tippy there.
Hi, behind you.
Uni, how you getting up? See, the problem is you're not gonna have enough step up here, I don't think.
You don't think so? It looked bigger when I got a little bit closer. I was a little worried.
I mean, if you want to try it.
What would you suggest?
You're the same built as Sarah.
I'm smaller.
Wow.
137, she's on 40. Can we try it on that?
Looks tough for 37s.
Why don't you try to do this, Mike? Come up like this, and into that.
So go back down?
Yeah. Uni, did you just walk it?
Either one of those.
I'm just making sure you know you came with a Jeep. Keep going. Passenger side recline. Yep, keep going. Basically just try to go like right that towards Brian Lee. Yeah, perfect. Oh, good. See? I knew I had the right idea. They're just getting them turned around in there to...
Airing up.